Hi, hello, hello. Welcome to Odds on Bundesliga. It's match day 23. We had quite an eventful match day 22. Bayern outclassing Union Berlin in a 3-0 demolition, which actually could have been even worse for Union Berlin. They are now top of the table alongside Borussia Dortmund, who took all the available points in Hoffenheim. So basically, now we have 5 teams separated by only 5 points at the top of the Bundesliga. But to tell me if you have a title race going on in Germany, there is no one better than Radek Vegas, our German football expert. How are you, Radek? What do you make
Leo.
of last
Good
week in
to have
action?
you here.
Good to see you.
Yeah, Eduardo is on holiday. If he's watching, enjoy. And so you outside, enjoy the show and put your tips in the comment section.
Absolutely. What do you make of last week in action, Radek? Do you think we have a title race going on in Germany or too early to call?
Yeah, not really, because I think the streak of Borussia Dortmund is unusual because every time they have the chance, or if they had the chance in the last 10 years to keep up with Bayern Munich at this early stage of the season, as we have 12 games to go, every time they couldn't take this pace and they broke down. And on the other hand, we had Bayern Munich struggling already with a lot of not good results, and they are still number one. So I expect Bayern Munich to start up again and Borussia Dortmund to go down again, and so Bayern Munich will easily finish this marathon at the end of the season. Unfortunately, I wish I'm wrong, because I also love to have another champion in Germany after 10 years of Bayern Munich. It's so boring. But that's not what you can say about the whole league, because I think in this year it's so unpredictable as it never has been before. I've doing this for 5 years now, and I think it's the only and the first season where I was completely wrong at one game day, and that's not because I lost my energy or something. I think it's just all teams are kind of equal and everything can happen. Even Schalke had its first win now. And so, let's have a look at the games now. Huh?
All right. So before we get started with Radek, please do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the notifications bell. So now let's go. All right, Radek. So what a start we have on Friday for this match day 23. Borussia Dortmund at home against RB Leipzig, first against fourth. If we try to find the team in Europe who is in better form than Dortmund, we won't find. Edin Terzić's team have won all their competitive matches in 2023, 9 matches so far, 7 Bundesliga fixtures, plus Bochum in the Cup, plus Chelsea in the Champions League. If they beat Leipzig and they make it 8 league wins in a row, they will equal Jurgen Klopp's title winning side of 2011-2012. I don't know if there is a single reason that could explain it, Radek, but before the World Cup, they were 6th in the table and 9 points behind Bayern. However, 2023, only Union Berlin with 16 points, if I'm not wrong, from a possible 21, have come close to matching Dortmund's form. Also 20 goals in 2023, which is almost 3 goals on average. And actually, 3 goals on average has been lately the minimum of goals we have had in this fixture, at least in 3 of the last 4 times they faced each other. Shall we expect here again both teams to score and goals over 2.5, or shall we go for a win either way? Because the odds rather look quite healthy. 2.36 on Dortmund and 3.13 on Leipzig. How do you see it?
Yeah, a lot of information and a lot of things pro Dortmund, as you told us. But I'm very skeptical, as I told you at the beginning, that I expect after every winning game of Dortmund, I expect them to make a huge mistake or lose against a minor team. But I think the difference between Dortmund last year and this year is only that they defend better. They don't get a lot of unnecessary goals, which they got in the first part of the season. And that's why they managed to win games which they draw or lost in the first part of the season. But anyway, you have to look at the games Dortmund plays. And I watched the Hoffenheim game and I was really disappointed because Dortmund is not a good team in my eyes. And they the last 5 or 10 minutes, they were so afraid to draw this game against Hoffenheim, which hadn't won a game for about 5 or 6 game days now. And at the end, Dortmund was winning with 1-0, and that is kind of really not good and not impressive. They got 3 points, okay, but that's not enough to compete against really good teams like Leipzig. And that's why I think Leipzig is way better than Dortmund. And the only thing is that Dortmund is a good home team and Leipzig had some problems away at the beginning of the season, but this was another time at Leipzig before their now coach Marco Rose, who was coach at Dortmund last season and was sacked after only being second. And I think Rose is a brilliant coach and fits perfect to Leipzig, where he can make the difference between a good team and one of the best teams in the league. And another thing is have a look at the opponents against whom Dortmund was winning. This was Hoffenheim, number 16. This was Hertha, number 17 or something. And Bremen, a newly relegated team, they were only winning close to Bremen, 2-0, 1-0 against Hoffenheim. They had a really close cup game against Bochum, another team who's down in the standings. So the previous wins of Dortmund are not that shiny as they look in the streak. At the end, you have to win these games. Okay, Dortmund did, but with Leipzig, they have to face the first team in weeks, which is also in a good shape and in a good streak, because Leipzig, they had to face, in contrast to Dortmund, really good opponents like Frankfurt. They beat Frankfurt. They beat Wolfsburg 3-0. Okay, they lost against Union Berlin, but this is also another good team. And at the end, I think Leipzig has the better players, the better coach, and altogether they are the better team. And that's why I don't understand why Dortmund is a favorite in odds here. That's why I'm betting on Asian Handicap 0 on Leipzig. That's just a draw, no bet. If there's a draw, we get our money back. Otherwise, if Leipzig wins, we get odds of 2.2. And I know that Dortmund at home can prove again that they are stronger than I expect. But at the end, I think every streak comes to an end. And now it's time for Dortmund to give away some points.
I like the way your view of not breathing too much on this impressive form so far in 2023 for Dortmund. So that's the Asian Handicap 0 then for Leipzig. Next, Radek, is Augsburg at home with Werder Bremen. The last 2 times they played at the WWK Arena, the 3 points were for Augsburg, and also the reverse fixture, although back in September, ended with an Augsburg win. They are not arriving in a great shape, though, after losing with Hertha Berlin. Actually, I was looking to play at home. Does not seem to be a great advantage these days for Augsburg. 10 goals in 11 games this season. Even Schalke has scored more playing at home. Anyway, they have won 4 matches in a row playing at home. Radek, can you see them making it 2-5 against Bremen side that arrives on the back of 3-0 victory against Bochum?
No, the only problem is that Augsburg seems to be home, strong at home, and winning against Leverkusen and Gladbach at home is really impressive for a team like Augsburg. But if you watch them playing against Hertha Berlin, you can't say that Augsburg is a good team. It was a horrible game and really, really bad football, what Augsburg performs, and you can't bet on them, to be honest. And on the other hand, Bremen is completely the difference, because they yeah, they were the better team. They won the game and scored 3 goals, which Augsburg is far away from, scoring even 1 goal against Hertha. And altogether in the home games, they somehow managed to win. I don't know what's the special in the Augsburg ground and the atmosphere.
The grass is cut different there. Yeah, I don't know.
Long time ago, yeah, something must be there. But I think we don't need to bet on a winner here, as the odds on Bremen are really high. So we also can bet on Asian handicap 0 on the guest team, which gives us odds of 1.8 or 1.9, even if you compare on Oddspedia. And I think, that's a bet I'm way more comfortable with than betting on Augsburg or on goals or on something like that.
Well, the good news for Bremen going into this fixture, at least as well, Radek, is that Niklas Füllkrug scored against Bochum after 4 games. He finally scored, so I guess must be a good news traveling to Augsburg.
Yes, and last time in our live show, someone was supposing us the bet, or suggesting us the bet. Füllkrug is scoring, and it was right. So I hope you won something out there, and yeah, sure. And maybe also this time Füllkrug can make the difference, because Augsburg doesn't have a really good striker. And Bremen, seems to find their way into the net more often in the last games. And that's why, betting on Bremen seems to be the better option for sure.
Perfect. So now we can then move on to our first stop, which is Borussia Mönchengladbach entertaining Freiburg at home. Well, I mean, to say that they are going to entertain after what we have seen from them last weekend is an overstatement. I believe a 4-0 crushing defeat against Mainz. So I don't know where the entertainment could come from. Hard to swallow, I guess, mostly because they travel to Mainz after an amazing win against Bayern Munich. So a little bit hard to tell, at least for me, Radek, who they really are at the moment. They are 10th in the table with 29 points. On the other side, we have a Freiburg team who is sitting in European places at the moment, being 5th. They couldn't hold to the advantage against Leverkusen. One of the main takes from that game was Vincenzo Grifos reaching 12 goals this season, which is 1 more than Marcus Thuram, for example, the Mönchengladbach striker. A Freiburg win at 2.9 wouldn't be tempting you in this case?
That's the problem, as you said, don't know who Gladbach is, and it's the same game in for years now. Gladbach is a really good home team, like Augsburg, obviously, but they suck if you bet on them against teams where you expect them to win, like Mainz. And how can a team like Gladbach beat Bayern Munich and lose without a goal against Mainz? This is kind of the ridiculous thing I told you at the beginning about the Bundesliga this year, that it's almost impossible to predict, or even on some teams like Gladbach, where you can have everything. In this game, especially, it's even harder, because the last game of Freiburg at Mönchengladbach was a 0-6. Freiburg won 6-0 at Gladbach. And as I told you, Gladbach is known for being good at home and bad away. This is also a thing, if you expect them to play good at home at least, then they also can make such a game. So I don't know what to do with them. So the best thing is not to bet on Gladbach, but not to bet on Freiburg either. So a draw is tempting me the most here, as in the last Freiburg game against Leverkusen. I think Freiburg is good enough not to lose, but not good enough to win. And also the same thing for Gladbach. But on the other hand, as after the last game, you can't trust Gladbach, always the same. And that's why the other option is Asian handicap 0 on Freiburg, and we get odds of 2.1. And if there's a draw, then you get your money back.
Good. So it seems to be the trend for this round of fixture, the Asian handicap zero, Radek, and I agree, because it's hard to read the form of some teams. And next we have Mainz at home against Hoffenheim, which, as mentioned, the 4-0 against Mönchengladbach for Mainz on match day 22. They have taken the 3 points in 4 of the last 6 Bundesliga fixtures. Hoffenheim can claim that Julian Brandt goal for Dortmund, we spoke before, was a bit of a free goal, but traveling now to Mainz, they have the hard truth that away from home, they had taken only 8 points, 2 wins in 10 games. That's not good numbers. They are on a very bad form anyway overall, 6 defeats in the last 7 games, or 7 defeats in 8, if we count the cup match. Mainz has scored 10 times in the last 3 games, 4 with Mönchengladbach, 3 with Leverkusen, 3 with Augsburg. Do we need to expect another excitement afternoon for them?
Yeah, to be honest, if I hear the names Mainz and Hoffenheim, I don't get any excitement. And this is a game I never would watch and waste my time with. But the problem here is that the odds on Mainz are not good. We have only 1.9 or 2.0 on Mainz. But on the other hand, it's kind of fair, because Hoffenheim was so bad in the past. And now we can speculate if Hoffenheim is better than their shape, and we know that there are a lot of surprises in the Bundesliga. And to be honest, if Hoffenheim wouldn't have been that bad in the last games, I would say this is a draw, as Mainz is good at home. But as Hoffenheim wasn't, it's impossible to place money near Hoffenheim or even on a draw, and that's why I say that this is one of my most uncomfortable home win bets here. Betting on Mainz. To be honest, I won't bet my personal money on Mainz in this situation, but as a to find some good odds and some good bets, I think it's even the best bet on Mainz with just a 3-way win, and we get odds of 2 point around.
Which is not bad, those odds of 2 points around. Radek, at the beginning of the show, we of course mentioned Bayern beating Union Berlin 3-0 last weekend. I'm saying this because we must talk now about Union Berlin at home with Cologne. The Union defender, I was reading, yes, Robin Noch expressed after the match against Bayern that they had no chance. Those were his words. It was a raw but true statement, I would say. But at the same time, we have to think that they came at the back of another extraordinary week for Union on every level, as they dumped Ajax out of the Europa League 72 hours before, whereas Bayern had an empty week to train and prepare for that fixture. Can we see here any realistic opportunity for maybe a Cologne double chance in this case, odds close to 2 on average? Or anyway, the return is not that amusing to put some money on Cologne?
Yeah, for sure. Cologne had some good games, but on the other hand, the truth is that they only won 1 out of their last 6 Bundesliga games. On the other hand, okay, this is always worth to look closer. They had to face Bayern Munich and Leipzig, where they draw, and they were beating Frankfurt. So 3 Champions League clubs which Cologne didn't lose, and this is the good thing about Cologne, why you could say that there can be value because they have higher odds. But the also truth is that they lost their last 2 games at Stuttgart and versus Wolfsburg, which is not really impressing. And that leads me kind of to the main problem of Cologne, that they were without a goal in the last 4 of 5 games. And so Cologne, yeah, is not worth putting money on. No matter how the game ends, we don't know it now. But with the facts we know, it's not really a good betting on Cologne, because Union Berlin is one of the best home teams. I think even the best before Bayern Munich, or watching the home standings. Okay, they're number 4 in the home standings, but they haven't lost a game. Only 3
number 4
draws at home, conceding 8 goals at home. So yeah, Cologne, if we go after all we know, is not able to beat Union Berlin, at least. And on the other hand, a thing which Union Berlin did in perfection, they were beating teams which were even better than them, like Leipzig. And that's only because they are really good in defending, they are really good at home, and they are really effective when it comes to scoring goals after standard situations or after counter attacks, because they have some really fast and good players who play accurately the passes where they belong to, and not wasting time with ball possession like the Spanish often do. And yeah, that's why Union Berlin makes the best out of their money, as they are one of the poorest teams in the Bundesliga, you can say, with the lowest budget. But they have the most brilliant coach ever with Urs Fischer. And I hope that they will continue surprising week after week, because to be honest, I don't also like the odds on Union Berlin with 2.0, as they, in my eyes, are never the favorite. If they win games, they are lucky, like in some games, but they work hard and they deserve it at the end. So I press 2 thumbs that they win again, and the odds of 2.0 are a bit too low for me to be confident. But on the other hand, I think it's still the best bet.
All right, and I agree that I like to be honest, the direct style of Union Berlin and the way they counterattack usually. And Radek, a little of a game, because if I say let's not talk about Bruno, I believe people who like Pixar movies will know which movie I'm talking about. And I believe everyone could guess which is the next fixture on the list if I say let's not talk about relegation, because it's the turn now of Bochum, 17 in the table with 19 points at home, with Schalke, bottom of all, with 16 points. Nevertheless, Schalke, Radek, done very well on Matchday 22, because they also faced a 6-pointer with Stuttgart and came with a 2-1 on top. Yes, they had to suffer a nervy end of the game in 𝐬𝐭𝐿𝐴𝐻𝑒𝐿𝐴𝐻 after Borna Sosas put Stuttgart on the brink of getting a point. For Bochum, the story was very different. We spoke a 3-0 defeat in Bremen. The reverse fixture in September gave us goals, Radek, 3-1 for Schalke. Is it wise to expect maybe a tight first half and everything to unravel in the second half? Because a draw at halftime, sitting with odds of 2.3, goals over and under are pretty much on par, 1.95 and 2.0. So what's your thought here?
Yeah, seems like an interesting thing. I expect in the whole game that it's gonna be a boring game, and as we often see or saw in the past, if some teams who are struggling, that it's highly likely that we not only see a draw at halftime. So my result prediction is a 0-0 here at the end. And so for sure, I like even more a draw at halftime, because you only have to watch 45 minutes of this horrible game. And then you can switch over to more interesting things, or even just not think about this. On the other hand, the impressive thing of Schalke is that they now have 5 consecutive games in a row where they didn't lose. And they had 4 0-0 games in 5 games without getting a goal. So they improved their defense a lot. That's the good thing. But I think this is not good enough to score at Bochum, as Bochum, had some really, really good home games. And if it comes to a game like this, if Bochum wins, it's almost the coin in the coffin for
Schalke,
or the nail in the coffin for Schalke, and they will be second league next year. And so Schalke also has to win, which speaks against the 0-0, but as it always is the case in such games, I still think it's a probability to have this result. At the end, if it comes to betting, I would say home advantage beats recent form. And that's why Bochum win with 2.3 around is my favorite bet. Or it was my favorite bet before you talked about the halftime draw, because to be honest, I think the halftime draw is even better with 2.2 or 2.3.
Yeah. All right, perfect, Radek. We mentioned Bochum Schalke. In Bochum Schalke, how Stuttgart featured last weekend, and there is nothing out there that suggests that they could do better on match day 23 because they received the visit of Bayern Munich. Fair to say they took a point in Bavaria back in September, but that was a long time ago, and Nagelsmann team is now on a different wave. Against Union Berlin, 15 minutes at the end of the first half were enough for them to settle the score. And as I said, they could have been even more goals. For me, one of the best performances in 2023 for Bayern. Last time in the Mercedes-Benz Arena, 5-0 for Bayern. Is Asian handicap the market for Bayern? A minus 1.5 for Bayern comes with odds of 2.16 on average.
Yeah, this sounds realistic and not bad. As you said, Bayern is in a good form again after the unfortunate lose against Gladbach, which was not a huge problem, as they had to play with 10 players most of the part of the game.
Yep.
After red card of Upamecano. So yeah, I think they did a good job to ignore the Gladbach loss and play even better in games when it's really important, like the game against Union Berlin. And they delivered. And as I was betting last time at the first half win for Bayern Munich, which was the 3-0 at the end. I think it's the best here also, as I'm a bit skeptical after the last 2 results between these 2 teams that Stuttgart managed to draw against Bayern Munich, which was highly unlikely at these points when they played against each other last time. So I think, Bayern likes Stuttgart and likes to give them points. And on the other hand, Stuttgart is one of the highly motivated teams against Bayern, like Gladbach maybe. So also here, I think betting on Bayern Munich wins the first half with odds of 1.9 has more value than betting on Bayern at the long run. So,
all right,
as Stuttgart also has a home game, they might not suck. And Bayern is facing the second game against Paris after this game, 4 days after this game. So I think they also will not be 100% into this game, as against Paris, it's the so far most important game in the season. And they don't want to get anyone injured against unimportant game kind of against Stuttgart.
That's a good point to make. It's true. What's coming after for Bayern Munich? Thinking of the fixture on the weekend with Stuttgart. So our next stop now, Radek, is Bayer Leverkusen at home with Hertha Berlin. Yes, after qualifying to the last 16 in the Europa League, Xabi Alonso's team came back from Freiburg with I would say, a good point. Thanks to Sardar Azmoun equalize. They were 1-0 down in the first half. Despite their thriller with Monaco, the reality in the Bundesliga for them, Radek, is a bit bumpy. 3 defeats, 1 draw, and 1 win in the last 5 outings. For Hertha, it's not that the sun looks brighter anyway, because 5 defeats in the last 7 Bundesliga matches for them, although 2-0 win under the snow against Augsburg. You mentioned a full match anyway. But at least 3 points that took them out of the relegation zone, which is always good news for Hertha. For a team that has already conceded 40 times, to win with a clean sheet was quite an achievement. Although I don't know if it's hard to think or not that they can get another clean sheet now against Leverkusen.
Yeah, kind of impossible. And Hertha had 2 home wins in a row, but they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row when they were playing away. And they seem to be better. Even the 1-4 at Dortmund was not a really bad game of Hertha. And I follow closely the way of Florian Niederlechner, a striker who went from Augsburg to Hertha, because I got to meet him about 13 years ago when he was just a young player, and he was playing at the youth club next to my hometown.
Yes.
And since then I've been following in his way, and it was very impressive that he started in the 6th league in Germany, and every season he got 1 league higher, and now he's in the Bundesliga for years and doing a really great job. And that's why I have kind of a little bit insights of Hertha. And what he was telling is that Hertha is, the chemistry in the team is getting good and even better after good results. And I think they have a brilliant coach with Sandro Schwarz, and they didn't deliver the results in the first game of Schwarz was coaching, but now it seems it's getting better. And Niederlechner, who is in the team for 4 weeks, said that he's impressed that the chemistry and the atmosphere is so good for a team like Hertha, because he was facing relegation with teams like Augsburg and Freiburg before, where it sucked, he told. And so in Hertha it seems better, and that's why we should expect Hertha to get better in the last games of the season. And long story short, Leverkusen was also is one of the biggest disappointings in the season. That's why Leverkusen win with odds of 1.6 is not a good option, as you see that they only won 1 of their last 5 games or something. And and Hertha is getting better. So 2 options here: betting on a draw, not because I expected, but I think a draw is almost equal likely to a Leverkusen win, but pays off 3 times more. So if you have the same probability but 3 times the reward, it's better at the end to bet on a draw, with 4.4 on a draw here. The other option is betting on goals, as Hertha seems to find the way to the net again, and Leverkusen has always the potential to score. 2 goals, but they also concede a lot of goals, as you told. Hertha conceded 40 goals, but Leverkusen also conceded almost 40 goals with 36.
36, yes.
And that's why I expect 2 bad defenses focusing on scoring goals. That's why over 2.5 is my favorite bet here with odds of 1.7.
Perfect. So that is the Bayern Leverkusen Hertha fixture. And now we move on to the last one to analyze in this Bundesliga match day 23, which is Wolfsburg Eintracht Frankfurt. A very interesting one, to be honest, Radek, for me, 7th and 6th in the table, respectively. Eintracht Frankfurt could not leave behind in the end, the disappointment, Champions League disappointment with Napoli, and finish empty-handed in Leipzig, as has been anyway the case in 3 of their last 4 games in all competitions. For Wolfsburg, a pleasant journey to the Rhine Energy Arena, comfortable 2-0 away from home in Cologne. Yannick Gergard scoring against his former club. A much-needed win for them, for Wolfsburg, after 5 games without getting the 3 points, 4 defeats in that run. There is some money to be made either way here, 2.58 a home win, 2.90 an away win. Does it surprise you that the odds on Frankfurt are higher than the ones on Wolfsburg?
Yeah, a bit, but to be honest, not really, as Frankfurt had problems in the last games. On the other hand, they had really good opponents, and it's not a shame to lose against the Napoli, which is one of the best teams at the moment. And this was no surprise at all. It was, on the other hand, not bad losing higher. And the other thing was that a loss against Leipzig with 2-1 looks also not really bad, as Leipzig is in great shape at the moment. But I didn't like the style of Frankfurt playing in this game. They really had, in no point of the game, a chance to win it or to make a point, as Leipzig was leading 2-0 long in the game. And so Frankfurt was obviously not able to compete with Leipzig here, and also not with Napoli. But they should be able to compete with Wolfsburg, who was losing 3-0 against Leipzig, to compare against each other. And I was kind of surprised that Wolfsburg could win at Cologne with 2-0. That shows that Wolfsburg has the potential to make good results. They, at the end, to make it short, it's impossible to say who's winning. And the odds are leading that the bookmakers also don't know. So the best thing is to bet on a draw with 3.6 here. And if you want to bet on draw no bet or Asian handicap 0 to not risk a draw, it's kind of a coin flip. I'm really not sure, but it's just a feeling in my guts that Frankfurt is not losing, but on the other hand, I think they are not winning. So betting on Frankfurt Asian handicap 0 can be an option, but I like the bigger odds with the draw more.
That's great, Radek. Those were then all the tips and prediction for match day 23 in the Bundesliga with our German football expert, Radek Vegas. But before we say goodbye, everyone knows the drill. It is time for Radek's safe bet and ACCA.
Oh, yeah. A really interesting safe bet. You might not guess it, is that I think that Leipzig is not losing at Dortmund, which is highly surprising, maybe, after Dortmund was winning so many games in a row. But this is also one reason that I think with a team like Leipzig, they should not win this game. And on the other hand, double chance on a team like Leipzig, who was able to make a draw against Manchester City. Why shouldn't they take at least 1 point at Dortmund? That's why 1.7 for the double chance Leipzig, in my eyes, is one of the best bets on this game day, and my so-called safe bet. And we all know there are no safe bets, as on this game day again, I would bet on eight draws, and maybe it's also a good thing. 8 draws and a Bayern Munich win.
You surprised me, Juventus, with that safe bet with the double chance for Leipzig. And what about the ACCA, Radek?
That's a more difficult thing, because we really don't have games where we can say these are really safe bets and sure winners. When I go for ACCA, I search for the most or the biggest probability of teams who might win a game, but there are any in this game day. As I told you, my first impression is draw, Bayern win, draw. And that's why in my second guess is, as we know in the Bundesliga, we have huge home advantages if we have really good home teams. Then I was looking for teams who are playing against a bad opponent at home, and are the good team at home against a bad opponent. And I came to the conclusion that 3 teams might have a bit of advantage at home, which are Mainz, Union Berlin, and Bochum. And this is a kind of awkward. But if I go one step further, as you might know, I bet on Asian handicap -1, as I don't lose anything if there is just a win with a single goal, but I get way higher odds. And on the other hand, if there's a draw, I also would lose if I bet only on a 3-way win. So I maximize the odd in the long run, betting on Asian handicap -1 on Mainz, Union Berlin, and Bochum. And at the end, we get odds of 32. And I know by myself that every ACCA is kind of a risk, but with huge odds, you don't have to win a lot of them. With odds of 32, indeed, I only have to win it once in a season, and maybe it's time for it now.
Wow, amazing ACCA. Then odds of 32 for Radek's ACCA. That's great, Radek. As always, a pleasure to get all the insight from you and in the Bundesliga. You guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. See you next week, Radek. Thanks a lot. That was great.
Thanks. It was fun.
Bye-bye.
Good time.